Okay. Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a life update, and for those of you that haven't been subscribed to me very long, this is something that I usually did on my channel every few months. Back when I was still in college, I would talk a lot about everything going on in my life. But I haven't done one of these in over a year now. The last one was actually June of last year, and we had just moved into our new apartment, and I did like an apartment tour and I spoke very briefly about stuff going on in my life. But it's been a long time since then, and there have been a ton of things that have happened, and I wanted to just talk about those today. A lot of you guys are new subscribers here, and I am almost at 35,000 subscribers. So first of all, 35,000 subscribers. That is insane, guys. Thank you guys so much. I never even imagined getting to this point with this channel. Like, it makes me so happy and excited. We haven't officially hit 35K, but we are, I think, at 34,800 or so. So keep subscribing if you like my stuff. But that got me thinking, you know, this time last year, I did not have anywhere close to that amount of subscribers, and so a lot of you don't really know me. So today's life update is going to cover a pretty wide subject range of stuff. It's going to be happy and sad and serious and not so serious, and it's probably going to be pretty long, so hopefully you're ready and buckled up for a ride, because I have a lot to tell you guys that's happened since last June. So without further ado, let's get into it. So where I left off last June was that we had just moved into this apartment, and we are still here. We signed on for another year's lease back in June, and so we're guaranteed to be here for at least another year. And the current plan is to stay here until next June, and then from there we're gonna assess the situation and see where we're at, because we eventually do want to buy a house once we are married, but we're not getting married until next August. So that gives us like some time there where we're going to kind of have to figure out what we're going to do. And we absolutely love it here. Our landlord is awesome. So I think we're going to try and talk to him about doing like a month-to-month lease or a 6-month lease. I used to not really care about buying a house. I was really okay with renting, but recently I have such house fever, and I think it's just because we're getting married, and I'm like, oh, I just, that's like the next step, is wanting to own a home together. And so it makes me really excited, and I wish I could go out and buy a house tomorrow, but yeah, so we're here for another year. We really love it. Even with the dog now, it still is plenty of space for the two of us and the animals. It definitely isn't enough space if we were to have a child, so that's not happening anytime soon, but right now it's fine. It's just that I wish we could be paying on something like that we're gonna own, basically. Like, that's how I kind of feel about it, is like my money is kind of going out the window at the moment. So that's something that's in the future. So when we do go to buy a house, I'm definitely going to talk about the process and probably vlog and, you know, show you guys all the new changes. But as of right now, the current update for where we're living is the same. We are still in the same apartment. So if you guys are interested in seeing the apartment, I will link the apartment tour down below. It's old. There's a lot more stuff in this apartment now, but it'll give you like an idea of where we live and what it looks like. So I'll move now into the animals. A lot of people on Instagram have been asking me about Gypsy and how she's doing, and the cats, and I haven't really done a cat video in a while, but they are all doing awesome. They're all getting along so well with each other. Gypsy is now 6 months old. She's roughly 45 pounds. And she's doing awesome. She is really loving her life. She is teething, so eating literally everything in sight. We've had to baby proof essentially this entire apartment, and she has gotten into stuff that like doesn't even cross my mind, and then I'm like, oh crap, like didn't realize you had access to that or this or whatever. It's like she keeps us on our toes for sure. The most recent thing she ate was the TV remote, so that's a constant problem at the moment is just making sure that the dog isn't eating things that are gonna make her sick or, you know, destroy things that we really truly care about. Luckily, we don't really own any like furniture yet that we are like in love with, I guess you could say. Like we haven't spent a ton of money on furniture or anything. So all that stuff will get bought down the road once the dog is older and we buy a house. And then our children eventually will destroy it. So it's fine. Cats are also great. They get along really well with the dog for the most part. Allie is the younger one, and she and the dog are kind of at odds with each other sometimes, but we have not had a bit of aggression come out of Gypsy towards them. She's just mostly curious and wants to kiss them, and they are like, get out of my personal space. So that's pretty much the situation with that. So now I'm going to talk about more of kind of what happened after I did my last update last June, and we'll go kind of forward from there up until present day. I have wanted to talk about this on camera for a while. I've been planning this life update video for a really long time, but I've not known how to go about it, and I think I'm just gonna ramble, and hopefully there will be stuff that comes out of this that is like usable and editable, and hopefully I get across to you guys all of my feelings and thoughts of things that went on. And this update has to do with my family, which I don't really put my family on my YouTube channel at all. I think there's been a couple of vlogs where they've been in it, but the only person in my family that's really on YouTube is my sister, my middle sister. She's 15. And the rest of my family, I don't like broadcast their lives on the internet because it's their lives. I don't want to be like intrusive to them. So this is different for me to do because it's not stuff I normally will talk about pertaining to my family. But basically, we're going to go back to 2017 because that's when this all started. When Brandon and I went on our cruise, our Enchantment of the Seas cruise. That was the fall of 2017, and that's kind of how I remember when this all happened. We were in Key West, and I got a call from my mom, and I was just kind of updating her on the cruise, and she told me that my stepdad had been in and out of the hospital all week because he was having like severe back pain. He had been having back pain since the month before, but I don't recall it being super severe. So he hadn't really done much about it, but it was not going away. So he had been in and out of the hospital, and my mom was telling me that they thought he had an ulcer. And so they were putting him on medication for that. And she was like, you know, they don't really know what's causing it, but I'm just letting you know. And I remember not really being that worried about it and just being like, okay, you know, that's kind of weird because he was like not the type that would get sick or like have any kind of medical problems. So I just was like, well, that's really strange, but okay. By the holidays, basically nothing was working. He was getting all of these weird new symptoms and knew something was wrong beside it being an ulcer. And he was diagnosed I think it was right before Christmas with cancer. And I think like we all kind of knew that there was something really seriously wrong when the ulcer medication wasn't working, and like they were tossing around all of these diagnosis ideas and not really coming up with a conclusion. But they confirmed that he had cancer, and for a long time we didn't really know what kind of cancer it was. They actually diagnosed him first with duodenal cancer, which is really, really rare. So that was scary to hear, like, he has this rare cancer that they don't really know much about and don't really have a ton of treatment options for. And then they changed the diagnosis to pancreatic cancer. And it was weird because at the time, pancreatic cancer to me, in my mind, I was like, well, that I've heard of. You know, that makes me feel weirdly better knowing he has a cancer that's like not super rare. But then at the same time, it was like, pancreatic cancer is super bad and has a very low survival rate. He was stage 3 when they diagnosed this. My mom took him to Chicago for treatment. There was videos of me actually at her house back during that winter. It was winter of 2018. And I mentioned, I think in a couple videos, you know, "Oh, I'm at my mom's for the week, like watching my sisters." And that was because my mom and my stepdad were in Chicago with him getting treatment. I never mentioned this to my YouTube community, to my subscribers, for a few reasons. First of all, I'm trying to like talk about this in a way that doesn't make it sound selfish. Okay. I was in total denial of this entire thing. My stepdad was my father figure. I don't really have a relationship with my biological father at all. I don't see him. We don't have a relationship. So my stepdad, who came into my life when I was 15, was like my dad. He brought me to college. He helped me buy my first car, was there for every pageant that I did, everything. He was there for everything. And so he was my dad, and to find out that he was sick was like finding out like that, I don't know, something indestructible, like it must have been like finding out the Titanic sank to people that were like, well, the Titanic's unsinkable. Like that's how I thought of my stepdad, was just like this unbreakable, strong person that held our family up. It's really hard for me to like, oh God, I can't even get through this. I'm sorry, I'm not like emotional normally on this channel. Like you guys have probably never seen me like this, but I have practiced how I was going to talk about this like 50 million times, and it just, nothing prepares you. I didn't want to admit that he was sick. I was in denial, and I didn't want it to be real. I wanted it to go away. And everywhere I went, when I was with friends, when I was with family, Brandon's family, my family, work, everywhere I went, the conversation was always about my stepdad having cancer. So I would be, say, at a family event on Brandon's side, and I would get asked 5 times in one day from different people about him, about what was going on. They wanted specifics of his diagnosis. They wanted specifics about his surgeries. And I didn't know how to talk about it because I was in like complete denial with everything. And I also didn't always know what was going on because I didn't live with my mom and him. So I wasn't 100% always up to date myself. And I would kind of tell people, you know, he has his cancer like journey page on Facebook that my mom runs, and she's putting updates. And I said, that's basically what I know about it. I said, you know, if you're interested in knowing about his journey, like I would go on there and just check that out. And people just like, that didn't compute with people. Like they would still just be like, yeah, but you know, tell me about X, Y, and Z. I couldn't. Like I literally could not talk about it. It bothered me so much to know that he had cancer. And you guys don't know this. My mom had breast cancer when I was in college. She was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was a freshman. That destroyed me. So now it was like, well, now the other parent has cancer. And I just was like, I just didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want it to be real. I didn't know what to say to people. A lot of people would be like, you know, I'm really sorry to hear about that. And I wouldn't know how to answer them, like ever. And so everywhere I went, that was the topic. Everyone wanted to know what was going on. Everyone asked me questions 24/7 about this. And I'm not saying it was annoying. I'm saying that it just bothered me. And so when I came on YouTube, this was like the place I could come for everything to be normal. I could sit down, I could make a video, and it would be normal. Everything would just be as it always was. And I wanted that normal life back so badly. Like I wanted it all to disappear so badly. I just made the decision that I wasn't going to say anything on my YouTube channel because I didn't want this to become a constant place where I would get all these comments asking about it. And I felt like if I mentioned it once, I'd have to give updates and I'd have to kind of keep up with that. And like, it's dumb to think that like that was, you know, like, of course I wouldn't have had to do that, but that's how I felt, was if I brought it up one time, I would have to continually tell people because they were just going to ask me anyway. So I didn't bring it up on YouTube. I kept YouTube as my normal place, my place of normalcy, my place of like familiarity, I guess you could say, because everything else was just all over the place. We knew, I would say, by the spring of 2018 that my stepdad was going to pass away. He had stage 4 at that point. He had progressed to stage 4. It was in his liver, and we knew that this wasn't going to be something he could come back from. It became a constant state of me being scared and not knowing what was going to happen, not knowing when it was going to happen and what to expect and how I was going to feel. And I would be great one day, I'd be like normal, happy me, and then 2 seconds later I would walk away and just start crying by myself. And I didn't want to talk. I still, like, going back to this, didn't want to talk about it to anybody. You know, my grandmother would try and talk to me about the situation, and I'd be like, yeah, I just can't. Like, I would get agitated. Like, I can't talk about it. And so in September, he ended up in hospice, and he was in hospice for about a week, and he passed away on September 4th. So he went into hospice the end of August. So it's been just under a year since all that. So this time last year, he was really on a downward spiral to the end, and it was really difficult to watch. I felt so much for my mom, who has been through like horrific things in her life that I will not talk about on this channel, but like she has not had a good life. It has not been a happy life for my mom. And to find someone at 40 something years old, that she called my stepdad her prince, and then to lose that just, like, I don't know. I just want something happy for my mom, basically. Like, and for a long time, I was like afraid to show any affection towards Brandon in front of her. Like, I didn't want to make her feel bad. I didn't want to make her feel upset, like, oh, I don't have that anymore. And so it was really hard. And we had a funeral for him, obviously, and like it was like this bitterly cold day. It was raining, windy, bitter, cloudy, gross day, and it was just not pleasant. He wasn't my biological dad, but he was my dad. He was my sister's dad. So yeah, that's what happened after I made the life update last June. And that was only the first thing that happened. So to move on from there, I took about a week off from my stepdad passing from work, and I went back, and the second day I was back at work, I was informed that my position was eliminated. I was a contractor, so I started as an intern at my company as a video and graphic designer, and then I became a contractor. So that meant I was contracted through a temp agency as a outside kind of source that was paid by the temp agency but worked for my company, if that makes any sense at all. Basically, I didn't reap the benefits of a normal employee. I didn't get health care, and I didn't get PTO, I didn't get sick days or anything like that. Like, I was basically like making my own schedule. I worked full time, but I would make my own hours, and while it gave me freedom, it also allowed for my position to be eliminated at basically any time. And that's exactly what happened. So my team was in transition. They were basically reorganizing, and they were like, we don't need a third designer. And so they eliminated my job. I knew eventually I was going to have to move on because I couldn't not have healthcare, like decent healthcare or anything like that. Like, I had to figure out stuff for me, for my life, and like be responsible and get a real like solid job that I wasn't going to get fired every, like at any moment. But I still, like, I wasn't planning on it at that moment because I don't know, I was in the middle of a bunch of projects. I didn't see it coming. And my manager had to tell me, and he was like, I felt for him because he knew what I had just gone through with my stepdad's funeral, and he just, the devastation on his face, like, it was not his decision whatsoever, but he was the one that had to tell me. And so he did. And then, because the man is a saint, he informed me that he had actually gotten me a interview for a different department in our company for our marketing department. And they were looking for a designer, and he was like, you know, you don't have to take this interview. I would understand if you didn't take it. I'd understand if you were mad and, you know, but he's like, I wanted to give you an option because I don't think it's fair that you just went through all of this and now we're like getting rid of your position. He's like, it's just not right. This isn't right. And so I took the interview because at that point I didn't really have time to set up an interview with another company. I had no like severance or anything like that because again, I was through a contract like with an outside agency. So it was like, you don't get any of that. Like, so if I was unemployed, I was literally unemployed with no means of earning any money. And so I took this interview like as a last ditch effort. I'm thinking, you know, I'm probably not going to get this, but I'm going to try. And I got the job. So I moved into my company's marketing department on October 1st of last year. So about a month after my stepdad passed, I started a new job. And that was kind of where things started to look up for me. My new manager is excellent. I was brought on as another contract position, but my manager at the time had said he really wanted to get us all converted to regular employees with the company so we could get the benefits and the job security. And we just found out actually last week that that is happening. And I am now a regular employee at my company and not a contractor. So I'm going to get all of the lovely benefits that I have been dreaming of, and I'm going to have security at my company. And I really love my job. I'm a graphic designer primarily for our marketing partners, and it's very fast paced. It's different every day, and I love it. That's where we're at. I'm sorry this was very up and down emotional. I warned you that I might get emotional, but I had to tell all of this because I want to move on from everything that happened last year, and I want to make, you know, my future videos happy. And I just felt like it was time for me to address everything that had gone on, because a lot of people that are watching right now, you guys don't really know me, you don't know anything about me, and I don't know, I just felt like it was a vital thing for me to finally tell now that that is all over, all the bad stuff is gone. I really miss my stepdad like every day. I'm devastated that he's not going to be able to walk me down the aisle. But my uncle is walking me down, my Uncle Sean, and he's amazing, and he and I have been close for a long time, and he's like so honored to be walking me down the aisle. And you know, we're gonna honor my stepdad. I want to do some stuff at my wedding to honor him. So that is the life update, guys. First of all, thank you guys if you've made it all the way to the end of this video. If you're still watching, like, thank you. Something that I wanted to kind of prompt people to comment down below is, what do you want to see from my channel? Because I know in the past I've done a lot of like weird, like random content. It's all over the place. I call myself a trendy channel because I do whatever's trending or whatever's popular on YouTube, which I don't think is a bad thing, but I also don't really get a sense of what you guys like and don't like. I know you guys like story times, but unfortunately, I only have so many, and I've told a lot of story times on this channel. There's a whole playlist if you guys are interested, but other than story times, what do you guys want to see on this channel? What are like your top 1 or 2 things that you'd like for me to make a video about? What will keep you watching? Because I really want to improve the channel. I want to make content that you guys are interested in, and I know the wedding stuff is an interest as well. But again, like, there's only so much I can do about that, so give me some ideas, please. I don't want to run out of content ideas. I want to keep it going for you guys. So I think that concludes the video. I think we covered pretty much everything. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like my content, make sure you subscribe. Get me to 35,000, guys. Get me there. Click the little bell if you want to know when I upload to YouTube. And also, if you're interested in my cruising stories and all that stuff, that is on my other channel, The Millennial Cruiser. Head on over there if you'd like. And stay tuned for future content that hopefully you guys all suggest to me and I'm able to make. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all in my next video. Bye!